Welcome back to Footballology. This time around, I want to talk to you guys about the top 5 receivers that you should have on your fantasy football roster at some point this year, if not in the earlier parts of this year. Now, the biggest thing about all these guys on this list is that you can get them in the later parts of the draft, except for maybe one. But I really feel like that you can get all these guys in the later part of the draft, and I feel like they're going to do a lot this season, and just a consistent starter that you can have in your starting lineup week in and week out. So I really hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get right into it.
Drop down and shake it, shake. Drop down and shake it, shake. Drop down and shake it, shake. Drop down and shake it. Drop down and shake it, shake. Drop down.
At number 5 on my list is Christian Kirk. Now with Christian Kirk, I feel like he has an opportunity to play the number 2 role in Arizona. Really, Larry Fitz has been moving inside and out. He played a lot of slot last year, obviously, but I think this year they're trying to make a transition. And Michael Floyd was originally supposed to be that guy, and a lot of wrong happened there. But I think Kirk is going to be a different receiver. I think he's going to be a different breed of receiver. And also, when I look at his stature and just everything else, if you guys haven't seen it, the 6 foot and under club, him and a couple other guys on this list, I feel like are definitely on their way into that position. But with Christian Kirk, I feel like he's in a great position with the quarterback that he's going to have. Even if it's Josh Rosen that winds up starting because of Sam Bradford's injury, which I hope that Bradford doesn't get hurt. I'm a big Bradford fan. But even with Sam Bradford starting, Sam Bradford throws a really accurate ball. Christian Kirk has really solid hands and really solid route running. I feel like that can actually translate into him being a more productive receiver for the Arizona Cardinals. And I really feel like they need a receiver in Arizona. Even with Larry Fitz being there, we know what he can do. We know who he is. But I feel like they need another receiver. I feel like honestly, their receiver depth isn't there. But I feel like he's a guy that's going to take over. And if you can get him in PPR leagues, I think he's really going to be a monster for you. So definitely you got to have Christian Kirk on your roster this year. Number 4, I got DJ Moore. Now, usually I try to stay away from rookies when I'm building my fantasy football roster, just because you don't know how coaches are going to react to them. And most of the time, rookies don't really start coming on until like week 8 and on throughout the season. But I feel like DJ Moore and Christian Kirk, I feel like both of these guys have an opportunity to make big impacts on their respective teams. Now, with Moore, I feel like that, and Carolina, they have Devin Funchess. Devin Funchess has never felt like a number 1 receiver to me. Even when they had Calvin Benjamin there, I feel like that, Calvin was still a beast. These guys are both like, they were 6'6", 6'5", and Cam Newton was just throwing jump balls for days. But I feel like they were hurting from a pure wide receiver position. And DJ Moore is also another one of those guys that can be on his way to the 6 foot and under club. And he has a pure route run. He has strong hands, and his catch radius is wild. And I think he has the same, if not better, catch radius than like a Funchess or a Benjamin. So with Cam Newton being his quarterback, it's some consistency at the quarterback position. With, Greg Olsen taking off pressure, Christian McCaffrey taking off pressure on him, I think he has an opportunity to break out this year. His rookie campaign, I feel like he has an opportunity to really be a great receiver, obviously pending health and things of that nature. But I feel like that he has an opportunity to really break out this year. And once again, he's a must-have guy. Now, you don't always get all your must-have guys, but I feel like DJ Moore, if anything, is almost number 1. He should have been higher on the list, but I feel like DJ Moore is definitely a guy you can get late, almost undrafted, and have on your roster, and he can be successful for you. I think not from week 1, but at least early in the season, week 3, and then just a consistent starter from that point on out. Number 3 on my list is Jordy Nelson. Now, with Jordy Nelson, he's a veteran receiver. We know what Jordy Nelson can do. We know what he's capable of. We know how he can catch the back shoulder pass, things of that nature. We've seen him do work with Aaron Rodgers. Now you put him with Derek Carr and John Gruden, and I feel like that he's going to be that true receiver that, the Raiders have been missing for quite some time. Michael Crabtree was that guy. He was cool. Amari Cooper was the guy to take the top off. But now you look at this roster and how it's formed, or at least their potential top 3 receivers. You got Martavis Bryant, which I feel like is one of the better big receivers out there that just doesn't give credit to what he can bring to the table. Amari Cooper, which is another guy that can take the top off, but is in the 6 foot and under club, and he can show that he has the ability to do a lot of work underneath. And then you bring in Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson is a must-have receiver for almost every team. He's a consistent hands guy. He's a consistent, I'm going to be where I say I'm going to be. You can put the ball there and I'll meet you there. He's that guy. He's a consistent receiver. And I feel like that's something Derek Carr has really not had throughout the course of his career up to this point. And John Gruden needs that for his system to actually work. And I think Jordy Nelson is going to be a very focal point of that. And so once again, in PPR leagues, I think he's good for 100 plus balls. And in PPR leagues, I think he's going to eat it up. And he can potentially, I think, if not already, be a number one receiver. I'm taking him, I think, in the 6th round, 7th round, somewhere around there. And I've done like 30 mocks already. And so I'm taking him anywhere from, the 6th or 7th, 8th round. And I'm using him as a number one receiver in a lot of those drafts because I'm going so deep. I'm going so running back heavy early because the running backs are so shallow. But I'm going running back so early that I'm picking up Jordy Nelson in the middle rounds, but I'm using him as a number one receiver because I feel like that's where he's going to be, and I feel like that's where he belongs. Number 2 on my list is Cooper Kupp. Now, last year I was a big fan of Cooper Kupp, and I feel like that he was going to come on strong and do a lot of work for the Rams. He showed flashes and signs here and there. Now you remove Sammy Watkins from a really deep wide receiver core that they had there. You remove him. Yes, you bring in Brandon Cooks, but we know what Brandon Cooks is. Brandon Cooks is, take the top off, stretch the safety, stretch the field, just break the top off the defense and really open up things not only for, his other receivers, but for Todd Gurley, which is even more dangerous. So that's Brandon Cook's primary objective. Just have that safety respect. That's what he's out there for. Robert Woods, we know, is the underneath work guy and potentially can take the home runs here and there. But Cooper Kupp, I feel like Cooper Kupp is a difference maker. I feel like that he's that, once again, a PPR machine. He's that Jordy Nelson type. He's that receiver, that consistent receiver I think that every offense is needing and desires to have. Now, Robert Woods got kind of banged up last year. He played a couple of games, and that really opened up things for Kupp to come in and do even more work. And I think him and Jared Goff have a really good relationship to that point where he can look for him more often than like a Robert Woods or the tight ends. I don't know who their tight end is going to be. He might get Todd Gurley on the check down, obviously. But I feel like Kupp is definitely going to be high on the, I guess you could say, target list or where's my guy at kind of list. I need that safety blanket. And I think Kupp is that guy for Jared Goff and Sean McVay nonetheless. So you got to, watch a lot of the play calling and route running. And I think everything that Cooper Kupp can bring to the table as far as being a Rams receiver and help Jared Goff is going to allow him to project really well in the fantasy football. Once again, I'm getting him around, the 10th, 11th round. I'm getting him super late, but I'm using him as a wide receiver too, almost a flex, in my opinion. I feel like that's where he's going to be. He's not going to be a 1 for sure, but I can definitely use him as a wide receiver too in a flex position. And I feel like that would be a comfortable spot for me to start him every week. Number 1 on my must-have receiver list is Davante Adams. Now, Davante Adams is a beast. I feel like that last year kind of showed some signs of what he can be if he was the, projected number 1, if he was the number 1 target guy. Aaron Rodgers goes down, which is really sucky. But when Aaron Rodgers went down, you've seen a lot of stuff, a lot of different things happen for this team. But for some reason, the one consistent thing was Mr. Adams. And so I feel like that with Jordy Nelson being out, even though with Jimmy Graham being there, because Jimmy Graham's going to do what? Open up the middle of the field. We know Green Bay is going to throw the ball anywhere from 35 to 45 times a game. That's a lot of targets for this guy. And I think that where he's going in draft, I think he's going in the 3rd or 4th round. So you're going to have to kind of get up there for this guy. But I think it's going to be well worth it. He's a wide receiver 1. I will pit him somewhere this year. I feel like I pit him somewhere on the same playing field as D-Hop. I think him and D-Hop can run in similar numbers. And D-Hop is going a little bit earlier than him. So if you can't get DeAndre, definitely try to get Davante. And I feel like that you can run him at the number 1 receiver spot every week with Aaron Rodgers being his quarterback. And you can run him at the 1 spot every week and feel really good and really consistent about who your starting receiver is going to be. He's shown signs of being that elite number 1 receiver, of the toe drags, the back shoulder catches, that trustworthy route running receiver that Aaron Rodgers has loved and come to known to have on his team. And Green Bay is always good for one good receiver, and that's him. That's all I have for you guys this week. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You can get 2 to 3 of these guys on your roster, and you should feel really confident in starting them every week. And even if they're for bye-week swap-ins, that's still even good. I feel like that these are starter quality receivers. So if you can get them and just have them stored on your bench for trade bait or whatever the case may be, that'd be a really good way to go. But don't find yourself in the 1st or 2nd round trying to get an A.J. Green or Julio Jones or Antonio Brown, even though those are the top receivers in the NFL right now. I just don't feel comfortable taking them that early in the draft because this year's draft is so top-heavy as far as running backs. The top 10 picks in almost every mock draft that I've done have been all running backs. I mean, with one Antonio Brown here and there, because I just feel like people want Antonio Brown on their roster because they say they got Antonio Brown. But I see it every year. People get Antonio Brown on their roster and they're struggling at the running back position. I don't want to be one of those people. I can wait and get Davante Adams in the 3rd or 4th round. I feel really good about that. Get Cooper Kupp in the middle rounds. Jordy Nelson's in the middle rounds. I can get some of these guys in the middle rounds where then I'm sitting with like a David Johnson and a Joe Mixon at running back, and then go in the later parts of the draft, or maybe even in the 5th round and go get a Derrick Henry, something like that. So there's different scenarios. Like I've done 30 mock drafts, and there's different scenarios that I've come up with. So realistically, don't find yourself reaching for a receiver in the 1st round. Don't kill yourself. Don't hurt yourself trying to do that. It's just not worth it. If you got to take Saquon over AB, I will still do that just because I don't feel comfortable taking a run or a receiver that early. But that's all I have for you guys on this video. I really do hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're not a footballologist yet, go and subscribe to the YouTube channel today and become a footballologist, and stay safe, football fans.